The Hawai'i Sports Radio Network. The Hawai'i Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760 presents Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani.
Good morning, beautiful people. Let's wake up in the den. Right across the Paul Brecht, I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. Happy Monday. I feel like we haven't chatted with you beautiful people in so long, which I guess that's true because we haven't been able to see you for about a week now. It's so crazy. And there's so much to recap today. Luckily, we have 2 hours right here on Wake Up in the Den on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 8 to 10 weekdays, and as we are right now, streaming live on our YouTube channel. So be sure you guys tune in if you can and watch us, or you can watch it on demand as well. Obviously, we're going to get into a lot of University of Hawaii football talk as the Rainbow Warriors coming up big and beating New Mexico 38-30 on Saturday night for senior night. So sad face that the UH football season is officially all POW, but it's like we'll get more football news in just a couple of days. Early signing period begins this Wednesday. So just when you thought, all right, not too much to chat about in just the game. Nope. This week we'll have even more UH football talk. But of course, we'll talk specifically about the game today and the big game that freshman quarterback Micah Alihado had. I know that's kind of been the talk of the town, so we'll get into that in a little bit. I know our Michael Lescaro will join us also coming up on this show. Definitely get into some University of Hawaii women's volleyball conversation as they win the Big West Conference Championship for the 5th time in a row and punch their ticket into the NCAA tournament, as you heard our Chaz Ontai say in the little sports report there. So they do play TCU in the first round this Thursday, but we'll let you hear a little bit of what Coach Robin and some of the players had to say after that big win that they had on Saturday. And then we'll get into some UH women's basketball conversation. Had a pretty decent showing over the weekend and then had a good first half against the number 1 team in UCLA. And then UCLA and Lauren Betts did what she does and pushes herself around. I mean, this is just like future WNBA player right there. Not just her, but also Kiki Rice. So the Rainbow Wahine held their own as much as they could for as long as they could. And it was still a lot of positives to take away from that game. And also get into some high school football. There's just like so much. We had the state championships happen over the weekend. Now it feels like it's officially going into high school basketball season. Now that football season is all POW, so state championships were crowned, including a couple of state champions for the first time taking home the state football title. So we'll get to that. Let you hear from St. Louis head coach Tupu Alualu. Whew, a bunch of stuff.
It's going to be a full day.
Oh my gosh. But before we get into some football, since, we haven't talked to the beautiful people in a while. Paul, how are you doing? How was your long weekend? A weekend that wasn't a weekend. Thanksgiving was pretty much our only day off. And then after that, it was straight to work.
It was a little brutal for me. I was a little sick throughout the weekend, but we powered through, made it to every Hawaii event, including the high school state championships on Friday, made it Saturday through senior night, barely. And then Sunday, we got to see a fun game against UCLA. Really excited to talk about all of it. You said it before. I can't believe we have so much to talk about and so little time to fit it all into. It's a good thing that we're on all week, weekdays, 8 to 10. Can tune in right here on Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Yeah, and definitely as to why we kind of save all of our national sports talk throughout, sprinkled in the week, because we can always get to that, especially, Paul and I aren't really enjoying NFL season right now, so we can always tailor that conversation for another
NFL
day. I know, right? Well, I don't know. I had good news over the weekend.
Season was POW.
I was like, I had good news where a firing that I was not surprised at and very happy about with Matt Eberflus being.
That really just happened this weekend?
Yes.
Oh my God. It feels like a month ago now.
It's because they played on Thursday, had the timeout in the bag down the stretch and lost the game. Anyways, thankfully, we rip the Band-Aid off of that one and move on. All right.
Who's free?
I'm free. We'll see what happens. And if Kevin Warren just takes the franchise more into the ground. Anywho, all right, getting into the real football that everybody wants to talk about. UH and New Mexico senior night, Hawaii 38-30. Woo! Big win. Doing what Hawaii does best, it seems to spoil a lot of the bowl hopes for these teams that come and play in Hawaii. We talked about it, how they did it last year to Colorado State, did it again to New Mexico. New Mexico just needed that win over Hawaii to punch their ticket into a bowl game. And sorry, not sorry, Hawaii came out on top. But I think I saw somewhere that UConn actually benefits from Hawaii beating New Mexico as well, as they get to kind of slide into a bowl game. So I guess on one end, that school's happy, and we're just happy to get that win and see a big game from Micah Alihado. But before we kind of share our thoughts of the overall game itself and share some stats with you guys and also some record-breaking notes that had to come into that game, want to let you guys first hear from what the head man in charge, Timmy Chang, had to say at the post-game of that big win against New Mexico.
It's a really positive note to end the season. It's when you look back at it. I mean, it's a coin flip. I mean, the ball can go bounce the other way, and it could be a really great season. But the things happen the way they do, and I think the future's bright for this team. I encourage the people to support and support the football team in this time. And the landscape of football is changing with NIL and transfer portal. I mean, we're going into a recruiting cycle, and we want to retain our guys, and we want to make sure they're here. And so I just continue to all the fans and all the people, that a lot of people that make decisions that can help with the football team and just really keeping our guys here. I mean, it's a good build, and I think our guys feel it heading in the right direction. And so I just really encourage everybody in the community to help us keep our guys, bringing guys here, because we can put a really good product on the field.
You talk about the future, Coach. Talk about Micah and his essentially his debut tonight, and what you saw out of him, and kind of what you are excited about, and what you hope to get fixed in the offseason.
Yeah, really excited for him. You just don't know how a true freshman's going to come out there and play, but he's different. I mean, he's really different, and again, we saw it in him. I'll tell you straight. I saw it in him from early on at Bishop Gorman, and recruited the smack out of him, and he's just, his mentality is different, and he's just a great player. And so you guys, it's his first start, and you're able to see what he can do. We're redshirting him, and so he'll come back for 4 years. And so those are the type of guys that we want to keep around and make sure they're here, and so you got a good quarterback in this offense. The sky's the limit.
Coach, you mentioned the recruiting period coming up and everything, and supporting the team. When you were hired, you were given those 4 years, coming up on the last one next season. With the kind of unique athletic director situation and stuff, what's your thought process as far as hoping for maybe more time, or how do you see that?
Yeah, I just control what I can. You know what I mean? I came here, I'm very grateful. I got the opportunity from President Eisner and Athletic Director Dave Matlin to take over a program and that needed help. And here's the thing, it's a program that I bled for, and I was committed here. I was top recruit coming out of high school in the state, and I made a commitment to stay here. And then in that commitment, coming back 20 years later and seeing where the program is at, where we can take the program, we just need help. That's the honest truth, is that we need help to take the program where we need it to take. I made that sacrifice as an 18-year-old. I'm here as a 43-year-old, and I love coaching football. And I really want this program to do well, because I know when the program does well, the state feels it, and that's all. I just really want this program to be the state's team. There's no professional team. Football's king out here, and I really want the state to back this team and pull for them. And again, it's a unique time in college football. And so as we get into recruiting season, it's going to have its challenges, but I think with the support of with everybody here in the state, I think we could do something special.
Over 20 seniors, a lot of these guys, some of them been here for most of your tenure. So can I talk about this special senior class and what they meant to the program?
Yeah, they, taking over this program, a lot of guys left, and we played against a lot of those guys for other programs in conference. These guys stayed, and that's what matters. And the thing that hurts is that, we left games out there that we could be playing in our own bowl game here, on the 24th. But these guys laid it on the line, and then they laid it again. Going to Utah State, we didn't think we were going to play that way. But it hurt. I mean, to be honest with you, it didn't take 24 hours. It took 48 hours to get over how bad that one hurt at Utah State, and not giving ourselves a chance, and even in their teachable moments, because we're looking back at UCLA, we're looking back at San Diego State, we're looking back at UNLV. The ball can bounce either way, but going into the off season, we can coach through these things. We can coach through these experiences and what we want to be. And so these guys are really close, and I'm excited.
With the close of, go ahead.
What do you think Micah's performance just does for him as he heads into this offseason? And I'm sure it gives him a lot of confidence in you guys and him as well.
Well, it helps because it just solidifies him as a leader. You know what I mean? I mean, there's instant credibility when you play a game like that, and I'm excited for him. He wants to be a leader. He's done unbelievable since he's got here. He made a sacrifice and commitment to graduate early, and come here and do the right things over and over, day in and day out. And he's a winner. If you go look at his pedigree, his track record of winning is very high. And so excited for him. Excited for this guy.
At the close of the regular season, the off season begins. What are some of your things you want to hit almost like right away, like this offseason? I want to hear boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it's gonna be recruiting. So the uniqueness of signing day will happen. It's moved up early, and then there's a transfer portal for a month, from December 9th to January 9th, I believe. And so the immediate is recruiting and getting guys here and putting the right guys in here so we can win games for the state.
And that was UH football head coach Timmy Chang following the big win on senior night on Saturday over New Mexico, 38-30. We do need to step aside, but when we come back from our quick break, we will obviously get back and give our thoughts about what we saw. And I know there's a lot of comments and everything we see about the play of Micah Alejado and should he have played earlier this season and all of that stuff. So, and we will actually let you hear from Micah along with Tamatoa Mokia Atimalala coming up in the second hour and what they had to say post-game. But going to step aside and we'll be back to continue our University of Hawaii football conversation on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ule Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Lescaro making his way in here on this Monday as we are continuing our University of Hawaii football conversation. Big win for the University of Hawaii to close out the season, and I can't believe it's already all POW for UH, 38-30 over the Lobos of New Mexico. But I think more specifically, a lot of people are raving about the play of Micah Alihado. I mean, it was one that a lot of people were hoping to see, but not exactly expecting to see. You don't know until it plays out in front of you. But Micah, 469 yards passing. Some of the big things as we pull up these stats up there for you guys. And I think, yeah, it's. I feel like saying that we were impressed is an understatement at this point. I mean, when you look at some of the post-game notes and some of the records that Micah was able to break. So again, made his first career start at quarterback, 37 of 57 for 469 yards and 5 touchdowns. Also rushed for 54 yards on 10 carries. Set a new freshman record for passing yards, surpassing Timmy Chang's 403 yards versus San Jose State in 2000. Also set a new UH freshman record for passing touchdowns. And his 37 completions are the most by an FBS freshman this year. The 5 passing touchdowns are tied for most by an FBS freshman this year. And probably the coolest thing is his completions, attempts, passing yards, passing touchdowns, and total offense are the most by a UH quarterback in their starting debut. So as if you
It's
guys,
good.
I remember like seeing your Twitter, Paul, and just like, oh, then there's another record. Okay,
Yep.
This is another one that gets broken.
We just
It was
had the full checklist up in the press box, and we were going down the list as it's like, all right, well, this one's in jeopardy now. Now this one's in jeopardy. And it was funny because we're starting to do that like midway through the second quarter. We're like, oh, we need to start thinking about freshman records. And then the third quarter started, and we were like, oh, we need to start looking at all starting debuts for quarterbacks for Hawaii. And it was a fun time up there. It was a really fun offense to watch.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
all around, guys making plays, the ball right into the chest of a lot of guys, which it makes a difference. And tell you what, they get to turn up field. We saw those little kind of rub routes out to the outside there that Hawaii seems to love to run. They were uber effective this time because all of them seemed to hit spot on. And was Micah perfect? No, I mean, he didn't complete 20 passes. But when you throw 57, I mean, well, he was really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And it was really fun to watch.
Well, I know you say he wasn't perfect, but I think one of the stats that stood out to me in terms of the box score is, well, one, there were no sacks on our quarterback in this entire game.
There
And
are 2 zeros.
And 2, yeah, Micah Alihado did rush for the 54 yards, and that's exactly what he netted because he did not lose any yards rushing, which is something that seemed like it was kind of commonplace this season. We always see some of the negative net yardage or negative yardage on the ground for quarterback Braden Shager, getting sacked a bunch of times. Now, I know we said this off air, like, we're not going to say that Hawaii was going up against like a fabulous defense or anything. I mean, New Mexico, to their part, that's why the total was so high, is because they let up a lot of points. They put up a lot of points, but they let up a lot of points, let up over 30. They were averaging a game. But nonetheless, throughout the season, we didn't know what to expect from this offense. And I think the common sentiment, I asked a lot of people, even when I saw some people yesterday at the women's basketball game, a lot of people were like, that was the most fun I've had watching a football game since it felt like the Nick Rolovich times in 2019, right? It was just, the offense was clicking. You didn't really know what to expect, but you were just enjoying every single minute of everything that was going on. And it was just such a fun way to end off the season.
Yeah, and it was electric from the start. I think getting the early lead helped Hawaii play at a pace that they were doing. But, we got to see Micah play from this performance because he had 2 weeks of QB1 reps. And I think that's one thing to point out. I know I've been one of those Micah Truders during the season, like, hey, maybe you put him in there for a bit. I know we have to talk about the red shirt, but he had a full 2 weeks of QB1 reps. what that also allowed him is that he's already comfortable in the offense, because I was told that in some of the no-huddle situations, he was calling his own plays. And I think from the quarterback position, that's what you're going to need moving forward. So it was awesome to see Paul mention those little short routes to the outside that Hawaii loves. And yes, in the run and shoot, those are, I believe, what Rod York called long handoffs, those passes to the flats that, frankly to say, Braden Shager struggled with. But here we were just making them like they were like layups, and that's what they should be. They should be like layups. I think we saw Pofele scored the opening touchdown on that play, as well as Nick Senecal. Like that should be
the refs almost took that touchdown away. I was so angry about it.
Yeah, but that's easy money that we need to be converting on. And then once defense is key on that, then we can take that deep shot. I think the Kel Crowdis was very appreciative of Micah after the game. The Kel started retweeting some of my tweets about him, about the game. So yeah, we saw what this could do. And also shout out to Spencer Curtis, because that guy I think he matched his season total in one game. He had, I think, 7 for 100.
Yeah, a 100 yards. So for sure, shout out to Spencer Curtis, because
Career
breaking that 100-yarder, I was like, wow. They mentioned that last night when we were at the awards banquet, and giving him that shout out for breaking 100 yards. Well, I guess 100 yards even in that game, and 10 different receivers got in on the action. Not all of them necessarily from Micah, because John Kiave got in for a couple of snaps, but nonetheless,
this is the split that fans were hoping to see between Micah and John Kiave.
Not the completely 50-50. It's like, all right, like John just comes in for a little bit, and then we just
when
saw
Micah
the
gets his
offense
helmet
take
taken off, strap up that helmet a little tighter, young man.
Yeah,
you could have had
in the game.
You could have had 59 passing instead of 57.
Stay in the game. But then we talk about Spencer Curtis, and then we'll hear from one of the seniors in Tamato Mokia Atimalala, a couple of touchdowns too. So just spreading out the offense. And I know that's something that Michael, you were very adamant about in the beginning of the season. Like, stop always going to Pofele. Like, we need to get different receivers in on the action. And I know your guy Tama Uliata is not one of the ones that were in there, but
he still got his red shirt.
Exactly.
Going back to Tamato Mokiatama, I don't think he's gonna sit in our post game, but Michael was a 6th grader on Tamato's pylon team as a high schooler, so they already had that connection. So it was kind of cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool,
in
actually.
the adult life, yeah. But I think it is important. I know a lot of people want to say, including our friend Caesar. Hi, Caesar. That was already jumping in the comments on our YouTube channel that just said that was his prediction with Hawaii wins 4-5 this season. Probably win 6-7 games if Micah was starting, who was fantastic on Saturday. This was a funny one. Michael, you appreciate this. Speaking of Micah Alihado, anyone know what nationality he is? I assumed he's Filipino because he's from Eva Beach. Is that a fair assumption from Eva Beach? I would say Waipahu or maybe Kalihi, but Eva Beach is...
Hey, it's a great week for Filipino athletes, especially with Jared McCain coming out as 10%.
Hey, that is true. That is true.
Michael,
but
you just keep winning. You both keep winning.
Caesar says Micah reminds me so much of a young Russell Wilson. The only thing Timmy Chang did right was recruiting Micah. He's going to be a star. With the team should be around him. Maybe switch offense to West Coast offense. All that, build a real football offense around Micah and get rid of that dumb arena football offense called the run and shoot. Caesar, we ran the offense that was made and Micah did just fine. But I understand what you're saying, because everyone wanted throughout the season, we're like, maybe the run and shoot isn't working. But now that you have a quarterback like Micah that's inserted in there, I mean, the offense all of a sudden was like clicking on all cylinders. The plays were flowing. Again, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves and say Micah was great. Micah was phenomenal.
He performed
but New Mexico was not like a top defense in the Mountain West. Also, I kind of would equate it to Tyson Bagent going in last season for the Bears. And he went in one game and everyone was like, man, this guy's phenomenal. And then once there was film on him and teams could see it and they could adapt and change to fit who the quarterback that they're playing, now all of a sudden people could stop Tyson Bagent and you're like, oh, he just looks mid now, to like, oh, he should be a backup again. So I don't want to get too, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking away from the positivity of what we saw and what Micah did, but I just feel like people shouldn't, they should tailor their expectations a little bit. I understand how they feel about wanting to see him play, but at least we preserved the red shirt, and that is part of what Timmy Chang was managing throughout the stretch. And I know it was hard for Micah to accept because he's never sat on the bench before, But
Sometimes that's good for people,
but
by the way.
4 years, you guys, like 4 years, we get to knock on wood. Please stay, Micah.
Well, okay.
We
Here's
still- we
what
still
I'll
get
say
it.
about the redshirt thing is, I was like, we should be focused on winning games instead of red shirts. But since he now still has 4 years of eligibility, that's 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, and if cross your fingers, hope to God, the stadium's supposed to be built in 2028.
True.
So maybe we'll get to see Michael.
Is Micah's senior year at the new Aloha Stadium? That's a great call by you. And also, I don't want to gloss over your point, Koo. I think that's a really important thing that we need to harp on a little bit, where it was an outstanding starting debut for Micah. And do I think he's going to revert into like a backup status? No, absolutely not. But also, he is a young man. He graduated high school early. He came in early. He just got his first year of college football under his belt. He played in 4 games. He's going to make mistakes still. I know that Steven Tsai tweeted, was like, oh, he hasn't thrown an interception since his junior year at Bishop Gorman. I joked that if he threw an interception on Saturday night, we were going to blame it on Steven.
Well, for that.
Well, he did throw one in the Poly
in the
Bowl.
Poly Bowl.
He did throw a couple in the Poly
Next
Bowl.
Mediaville, we will ask Michael Alejado.
If those count.
Well, no. How much did that sting? Because that messes up your streak.
True. But no, I just want to say, like, he's going to make mistakes in the future. Like, I understand this was awesome and fans fell in love, and they should. This is a kid who is extremely talented, very smart, and very hardworking. He's going to be a good player. But that doesn't mean that there won't be growing pains, and that's why you're so thankful that you still have that red shirt. So as he goes through next year, and as you go through what probably will be a relatively difficult schedule, you'll be okay, right? He's going to make some mistakes, but he's still got 3 years after next year to still build upon it. And that's me saying, oh, he'll make mistakes. He's still going to look pretty darn good in a lot of weeks too.
And again, I love the excitement. Hopefully, he wants to stay here now that there is some positive film on him and a lot of, he was highly recruited, and Timmy Chang, and he said it in the post game that we played earlier, they went after him hard. They knew that they wanted him to be the quarterback of the future. And at the same time, he wasn't really heavily recruited because he has that knock on his size, right? You have to be really special to do things like your Drew Brees, like your Russell Wilson, right? Like, it doesn't happen often where a shorter quarterback does find a lot of success in the college and then in the NFL level. So now that some teams got a chance to see what Micah Alejado looks like at the collegiate level, it's like, are they going to come knocking out with like just how players can just move so freely? I hope
shouldn't
not.
be able to do that.
I think I think he has a lot of commitment to Hawaii and to Timmy Chang and this coaching staff, which we have yet to see if the coaching staff is still going to be intact. That's probably a conversation that we'll have coming up in the second hour. But no, just a phenomenal game for this team, and it was a nice way to end off a rough season. Let's call it what it is. It was a rough season for, I know, a lot of fans, the players to go through and everything. It got frustrating, but it was just a nice little way to end. I wish they got to the 6 wins, though, or else I would have been cashing in a ticket in Vegas. But I guess I have to. That's what I forgot to bring this morning. That I had to rip it up. I know.
In my mind
oh
the
yeah,
most.
for sure.
I just can't get over that one. I like San Diego State. I'm fine with. It's the road win. Oh, that's another thing I should bring up before we move out of this segment. Congratulations to Timmy Chang. It's the first time that his team has won after a bye week. So he's now 1-4 after bye week. But that's and on a more serious note, that's been a big part of this season, is kind of getting a lot of those, the monkey off the back type of thing where they couldn't win on the road, they couldn't win off a bye week, they couldn't win back-to-back week. Like all of these other things, they kind of did that this year, at least for the first time, and it gives you confidence going forward. Okay, yeah, we just talked about how young Micah was. Timmy's still a young head coach, guys. It's a guy with not a ton of experience. He's been learning on the job as well, and I like to think that he's continued to improve over his 3 years. I hope to be able to watch him continue that growth over multiple more years going forward.
I think the best thing, guys, right? Hawaii and the over to end the season. We got a Hawaii and the over. And it was interesting because throughout the weekend, the line opened as New Mexico being the 2.5 point favorite. And then obviously as word started to get out and get confirmed that Braden Shager was out, the line jumped and actually doubled, went up to, I believe,
Hilarious.
New Mexico, like favored by as much as 6.5. And then the total actually came down. Like it was at 61.5 for most of the time. And then I looked, it was like 60.5, not by much, but it's just fascinating to watch how much that changed. And lo and behold, we didn't need that.
Oh, man.
Anyways, Hawaii just winning straight up. And again, a phenomenal game to see. And I think how people said that this was similar to what we used to see back in 2019, the last year under Coach Rolo, is that, I mean, I think we've always said in the beginning of the season, like, we love this defense. They've played amazing this entire season. They've kind of been the stable unit throughout. But at the same time, it's one of those, hey, if they let up a lot of points, you win by scoring more points than the other team. And that's kind of how Hawaii football feels like it was. It's like, yeah, they're not always going to have the shutout defense, but they're always going to end up finding a way to put up more points than the other team. And woo, what a fun game that was on Saturday.
It really was fun.
Yeah, and going back to your defensive point about they gave up. So I mean, if Devin Dampier is not Devin Dampier, we're winning this by they're not scoring more than 13.
That guy's
Exactly.
unreal.
That's why. But that's what I mean. It's like if you're playing a team that has like a solid player or a couple solid players that will put up points on you, that they're just that good, you win games by putting up more than the other team. And and again, that's reminiscent to how Hawaii football and the glory years that it was. It's just always high scoring. And that's what fans want to see. That's why everyone said, like, this was the most entertaining game that I remember, like, thinking about and feeling since that 2019 season where Hawaii won the 10 games.
I will also say the players have been on Twitter. Most of them have been very supportive of Craig Angelis. Maybe they just wanted to put on a show for his last time here.
Oh, sad face.
It's very possible.
Micah was positive of Craig.
Micah, Jonah Panoke, Dion Washington.
And Hawaii, if you want to keep Micah, maybe reinstate the 80 that he's in love with.
Ooh.
Just a
Thought,
something
just
for
throwing
thought.
it out there.
By the way,
President
Let me
Wendy
retweet
Hensel.
that right now.
Yeah, Wendy. And shout out Micah too, because during his post game, which we'll play in the second hour, and even on Twitter, he's all about, which you should be, right? Like, we see that from all quarterbacks, all about the offensive line. He's always like, how about that offensive line? On our social media, we have a video of him, like, just, quick post game via our Olivia Austin with a couple of the linemen and James Milavale and Luke Felix Tuolalo. And it's just like, it was fun. Like, all the whole vibes. It was phenomenal to watch on Saturday. All right, continuing the good vibes, though, we're going to tailor our football conversation for hour number 2. We'll come back to it, but I want to make sure we get into the other big win that happened over the weekend, and that is the University of Hawaii women's volleyball team, Big West champs for the 5th straight time. Woo! Let's go. All right, we'll be right back and let you hear what they had to say following that championship match on Saturday. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. Alongside Paul Brecht and Michael Lescaro, I'm Kule Agbayani. Mahalo for tuning in this and every weekday morning from 8 to 10 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and streaming every Monday on our YouTube channel. Oh, by the way, you guys, I think this might actually be our last YouTube show in this studio. I know.
Really?
And it could potentially be well, no, I don't want to say it's our last YouTube show, but forgive us to our listeners and our viewers that always tune in on YouTube that it might get sporadic. We are moving, so we will begin slowly moving out of here and into, I think we're going to move into another studio that's like next door to over here, and then eventually in a new building and new studio. So this could be the final YouTube show in this studio.
You sound like state workers now that get reassigned.
Pretty much.
Are we getting
I don't
Lastner
think
out
I-
of here?
I don't think I knew that. I'm so sad now. Now,
No.
now my vibes are thrown off for the rest of the show.
Yeah,
no.
we're gonna be swimming with the sharks in the fish.
True.
Yeah, so it could be. I just want to make sure we keep our viewers, they
open and
know.
honest.
Yeah,
and communication is so important.
Transparency.
Exactly.
transparency. Let's go.
We don't want people to have any grievous allegations against us.
Exactly. We're trying to cover all our bases.
We just
here.
want to be Pono.
And not pilau. Gosh, all the terms that was like that defined last
Shout out
week.
to our fans and our sponsors.
We hope you guys will follow us wherever we go
Oh
into our
my
new
God.
studio. And that was why you are the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. All right, getting back on track. Well, also, if we're giving shout outs to our listener and our viewer in Boise, because he had texted in earlier when we were talking about the comment from Caesar on our YouTube about Micah being Filipino. And he's from Eva Beach. So our listener in Boise said, I'm Filipino and grew up in Eva Beach. Laughing face emoji. Hey, there you go.
Bang.
Yeah, bang. All over there. Oh, there's all of our people too. Hey, I grew up there too. Bush, everybody knows that used to go to the beach over there in Eva Beach. All right, getting to our UH women's volleyball conversation. The Rainbow Wahine beat Cal Poly 3-1 to win their 5th straight Big West Conference Championship. Woo, woo, woo. Set scores 25-19, 25-19, 27-29, and 25-22 in that victory. Let's go. So you have the seniors and Taylor Ikinaga and Kate Lang. They don't know anything else but winning Big West championships.
The 5-set sisters didn't even need 5 sets to win the Big West Championship after what has been an insane year. That might be the biggest upset of all time, to not have to go all 5 sets.
They did have to go 5 sets in that semifinal match, though. That was a close
Exactly.
one against UC Davis on Friday. And that 5th set was, 15-13? Woo!
All right, I'll be honest, guys. I was sweating during that 5th
think
set.
we were all
I was
sweating.
like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And silly me, why would I ever doubt the 5-set sisters?
They just on Friday they just wanted to give the fans something to watch all the way up until the kickoff of the state championship
It
football
really
game.
was.
true.
It really was right up, because I finished watching them win and immediately scooted my little moped butt over to the UH to go watch the Open Division Championship. But what a match for them, and what a season for women's volleyball in a lot of different ways.
Hey, not Paul yet, Paul. That sounds like it's.
I'm not talking like
not
they're
Paul
pal.
yet.
But
Not Paul yet.
shout out to Taylor Ikinaga for getting
Michael
MVP.
stole my thunder. I was just
Well,
getting to
I
that.
just want to, because you look at the libero position, right? And there's really no like kill, so it's like, oh, well, that's kind of. But what they were able to do is they were able to run some quick offense, right? A lot of the passes, there's a lot of slat attacks to that back set for where Kate Lang could distribute it to Jackson Bamus, and I think there was 4 players that had 9 or more kills, maybe 4 players with 10 double-digit kills. I know it's very balanced.
It's a balanced weekend for
and
Hawaii.
it all starts with one pass, and you got to credit the back rows for that. With Taylor, even Victoria Lavo is solid, and even Jackie Matias back there being a serving sub. I swear she served on both match points in both of the semis and the championship points. So you got to give credit to the people that touched the first pass, and Kate Lang, phenomenal. But yeah, a very all hands on deck win for the Wahine.
Yeah, when it comes to these championship type of settings or tournaments in general, right, we're so used to just seeing kind of like your outsides get the MVPs just because they essentially lead to the points that get put up. But Taylor Ike Naga, the Libero of the Year in the Big West, and also the Big West Championship MVP, 32 digs in the tournament, including 13 in the championship match. Again, at least the championship match not going to 5. She would have had more. Should have gone to 5, but thankfully, thank you guys for not letting us stress out that much. Kate Lang balanced the attack with a 295 hitting percentage and finished with 42 assists and 10 digs in her 50th career double-double. So again, the other senior and Kate Lang doing her part as well. And then UH middle blockers Miliana Sylvester and Jason Bamus combined for 23 kills, hitting at a 500 clip. Like, woo! Again, balance all around. And it's kind of been the tale of this entire season, right? Like, we knew the talent was there, but it's just a matter of like the young ones kind of getting acclimated and everyone being on the same page. But they just played phenomenal defense, which has been what they practice. Like, that's what they focus on, is defense and passing. And that's what Robin Amal says. But this is what Coach Robin had to say following that win. And then there's also a part where they get asked what to define the culture that is UH women's volleyball. So here's just a snippet of what some of them had to say following that championship match.
For me, it means a lot because I said it from the beginning, this is definitely a young team. You know, we only got these 2 seniors here. We have a bunch of freshmen that, and just going up and down and just everybody just sticking together, the coaches sticking together, and to come out, tonight and watch these guys battle out, that third set, just keep battling, and then going into this, the fourth set, I'm just proud of them.
Hawaii will be making their 31st consecutive and 42nd overall NCAA championship tournament field. Just talk about the culture of Hawaii volleyball, please.
The culture of volleyball?
Yeah.
Take it away, guys. Let's go, Kate. 5 years you've been here.
Whenever, that question just makes me think of legacy. I mean, there's been so many alumni that I've had the privilege of working with and learning from throughout the years here that they've just left such a good legacy. They worked so hard, and that's the kind of culture that they built, and they left for Tay and I to take over, and then for the next people to take over after that. And it's just, it's our alumni. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just definitely no excuses is what I think. Like, we're a young team, but, we have something to defend. Hawaii volleyball has won the Big West for 4 years in a row. They've gone to the tournament every single year, so there's no excuse this year because that's who we are.
Yep. And I think too, Hawaii is just, we never get stuff handed to us, and we always have to earn it, and that's been made since past generations, and they put it for us, and I think it's just really important that we continue this their legacy and just passing it down to you guys. So absolutely now.
Yeah, I think I'm old, but before me, just watching all the teams from before, we're not really. Dave never recruited 6'4", 6 foot, whatever kids. And it's just about playing defense and have grit. Just have hard grit of going after every ball. Short. We got a lot of short hitters. Okay, short for me is 6 feet. And just keep working. That's been Hawaii volleyball. I mean, ever since I was a kid and watching. So just trying to continue that.
I love that they got asked that final question just in their opinion to define the culture that is Hawaii volleyball. And again, that was head coach Robin Amo. You had setter Kate Lang, libero Taylor Ikenaga, and then also Miliana Sylvester in there. So that's kind of I think they all gave a very good opinion on what they view as Hawaii volleyball, because it's all of that. Even Taylor, how she mentioned, it's Hawaii, and growing up in Hawaii, you're used to not getting much. And then you just go, and then you have the grit, and that's what it's always been. And Coach Robin saying how Dave, ever since the Dave years, this is never they recruit anyone tall. And it was funny because she was tall to me is 6 foot. So, but they don't really go after, because we saw, right? Even on the Cal Poly side, and they're going to see some trees this weekend. Hopefully it extends to the weekend, but this Thursday in TCU and Oregon, we know if they beat TCU and Oregon wins their match, that's who they'll face in the second round. And we know that they have some size, but Hawaii, if they're defense holds solid and their passing is solid. We just saw what it can do. Again, it's almost like a redemption of TCU. They did lose to TCU last season in their non-conference schedule, a 3-1. And then in the tournament last year, they beat Iowa State 3-1 in the first round. And then were swept by Oregon in the second round. So it'll be an interesting rematch should it happen. Should Hawaii get past TCU on Thursday? Again, it'll be Thursday, 2:00 p.m. Hawaii time on ESPN Plus, and they're playing out in Eugene, Oregon, and hopefully, I already see or heard some people trying to make the trip out there. If you guys do go out and support Wild Duck Cafe. It's like right next to the arena, and that's my family there that owns it now. My family out in Hilo and Kaihea and Kilohana them. So go to Wild Duck Cafe. There's my little plug there.
Perfect little plug.
Gotta promote the family. So if you guys are out there, even if it's not for the game, but you go out to the arena there for a basketball or something, just look it up, Wild Duck Cafe in Eugene, Oregon, and support the Hilo clan that's over there.
Cool. You should make a reel or a TikTok of you saying that, and then that'll blow up.
Yeah,
maybe.
True.
We'll see.
Boom. There you go.
That's what I should have worn. I should have worn my hat. I know my uncle gave me I have a couple of their Wild Duck hats, so maybe I might have to. We'll see. I don't know.
TCU has some like great outside hitter, right? It's like Para or something like that.
Yeah, I gotta look
I don't
it
know.
up.
I think she's top in fifth in hitting, and then Keenan Alexander's like third in terms of like statistics.
So it was funny. I woke up to a text this morning from a couple of friends who lived in Texas asking about how Hawaii is going to stop that girl. And my response was not how they're going to stop her. I just go, who's going to stop Kaylin? And it was a great little back and forth because we're going to see some high level hitter action in this first round. I mean, throughout the entire tournament, but in this first round especially, I'm really excited for this matchup.
And that's a very good point by you, Paul. Who's going to stop Kaylin? Because Kaylin didn't actually have her best match in the championship game, so she's going to come back firing. Now we just need everybody to be all hands on deck, and if we can spread it out like how we did on Saturday, that's how you slow down outside hitters. You force them to have to play back row. You force them to get more sets. Once you have to be running around a lot, that kind of limits your power because you're more spent. And I think if we get into a cardio game, we have the advantage.
I like it. All right, we'll see what happens on Thursday. But when we come back, we'll have a few minutes left to close out this first hour, and then we'll go back to more UH football in hour number 2 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
All right. Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
That wow. Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Kule Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Lescaro. All right, only got a few minutes left in this hour. Last night was cool. We got a chance to go to the awards banquet for UH football. So that was really nice to see. I got a chance to sad face. Got a chance to sit next to our former athletics director and Craig Angeles, and that was kind of oh my gosh. They didn't die.
Could've-
Although right
could've
now it
fooled
feels
me.
like,
It felt like it.
it does feel like death right now. But no, I got a chance to sit next to him and chat, and I'll tell you guys a little bit of our conversation coming up. But I want to make sure we get into some of the awards that got sent out, awarded.
Same thing.
Given out. I was like,
all
well,
the
finding
same.
the word. Given out last night at the football banquet. So here are some of the things. You have the Jimmy Asato Offensive Scout Team with going to Triton Keliikipi. Oh my gosh.
Keliikipi.
My gosh, what is going on? It's like I said it in my head and then it just does not come out the same when it has to come out of my
Yeah,
mouth.
I mean, I can't relate to that at all. That's
I
never happened to
apologize
me.
for that. Hank Vacancelos, Defensive Scout Team, Josh Sangapolutele, Jenny Matsuda, Scholar Athlete Ben Falk, Ben Yee, Most Inspirational Player, Logan Taylor, Dick Tomey, Special Teams MVP, Lucas Burrow, Bob Wagner, Defensive MVP, Elijah Robinson, June Jones, Offensive MVP, Kaena DeCambra, and another one, no surprise, the Alec Waterhouse MVP in Cam Stone. So I don't know, any of those surprised you gentlemen at all? I know that I think the MVP, the Alec Waterhouse MVP is like definitely no surprise in Cam
was
Stone.
signed, sealed, delivered like
he's-
6
he's-
weeks ago, probably more.
Yeah.
First team Mountain West. If he's not first
easily.
team Mountain West, we riot.
The corruption
down.
in the voting. If he is not first
Collusion.
team, the conspiracy against Cam Stone would be unbelievable. No, really excited for all of those guys. A lot of really, really deserving names on those lists. Obviously, all deserving, but shout out to Ben Falk for the Scholar Athlete. I finally found him on Twitter. He referenced the Stevie Wonder blunder during all the things of the last couple of weeks. So he certainly is a knower of ball and history here at UH at the very least.
Well, he's a Scholar Athlete.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's like, so, it's good to see
Paying
that.
attention to that stuff.
Exactly.
Triton Kalikipi on the offensive MVP. Or scout team.
Scout team,
Scout team
yeah.
offensive MVP. He's been kind of coming alive in this past couple of weeks. I know some of his coaches are giving him some love. I think the strength and conditioning coach, Ryan Ishihara, Coach Ish, they like to call him. I think in the past couple of weeks, he's kind of like improved his speed. So that could be something to watch in the future. But yeah, he's been coming on strong. I know his family on the west side shows him a lot of love. I know when we posted a photo of him during training camp, he got a lot of shares. So yeah, shout out to him.
No, but it was good vibes. And considering, again, how the up and down season went, I think it helped that Hawaii did have that big win on Saturday. So obviously everyone's coming off of that huge win, but good vibes all around. I was surprised, but not surprised with Jeff Reinbold and because after they give like the individual awards, they also, each coach has to kind of like introduce the different seniors that they were coaching, and Jeff Reinbold was the only coach. All the other coach, and they were looking dapper, by the way. They had a new dress code this year, and everyone had to wear suits. So you had a bunch of them in their suit and tie, and they all look. I think I have a little video of Coach CB in there that's how everyone had the tie and everything, and the coats. So everyone looked like really sharp, but all the coaches were obviously going to the podium to say whatever, and then Jeff Reinbold is like, no, I can't do that. So he's like walking around the stage and just like I think I texted you guys. I was like, he's like
that's
preacher
me.
Jeff Reinbold. He's just like
I
talking
love
without
the
the
sun god.
microphone, but you can still see him or hear him. And I was like, yep, that's Jeff. And everything he's saying, I'm like, no wonder everyone likes to play for him, because I'm over there like,
Ready to run
yeah,
through
tell
a
me
wall.
more. Yeah, describing his players, but it was really, really cool to be out there and to see everything get awarded. But anyways, got to step aside for our break, and when we come back, we will get back to UH football conversation and let you hear from that freshman quarterback Micah Alihado and one of the seniors in Tamatoa Mokia Atimalala and what they had to say following that game against New Mexico, and get into some UH women's basketball as well. And when it comes to football, what is the future of the football program now that Timmy Chang is still, by all accounts, is on his final year as head coach in terms of his contract? So now that we have former AD Craig Angelis, his last day was yesterday, and now you have Lois Mannon in charge. If you're interim, do you make that decision? Do you make it soon? Because I think you have to be able to decide what the future is for the UH football program. All right, we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. Alongside Paul Brecht, Michael Lescaro, I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani. Mahalo for tuning in this and every weekday morning, and we'll get back to our University of Hawaii football conversation as a big Saturday and way to end the regular season. I know everyone wishes we could have seen Micah Alihado early on, which no surprise there. I didn't even see this though. A freshman and offensive player of the week. No surprise for the Mountain West. Micah Alihado again made his first career start for the University of Hawaii and got that 38-30 win over New Mexico. 37 for 57 for 469 yards and 5 tutties, and rushed for 54 yards and didn't get sacked and didn't lose any yards on the ground, which is the part that stood out to me when I looked at the final box score. I'm like, all right, that was a very, very good game. And as we mentioned earlier, being able to set all these new records for the University of Hawaii, Micah Alihado was where completions, attempts, passing yards, passing touchdowns, and total offense were the most by a UH quarterback in their starting debut. So again, a big first starting job day for Micah Alihado, and I know our friend Caesar is very adamant about hoping that Micah is Filipino, and I'm pretty sure that he is. I will get confirmed. Our boss man is actually friends with his dad, so I will confirm just for you, Caesar. But I'm pretty sure the chances are high because Caesar did say that it would be like the best thing ever if Micah was Filipino, and he really wants us to ask and confirm before Caesar gets like extra excited to cheer on the Filipino quarterback. But like I said, I'm pretty sure he is, but I will confirm just for our friend Caesar on Maui.
You're a good soul for that, Ku, you know. Salt to the earth type.
I know. Too with our the Filipino side.
Hey, Caesar, I'm Filipino too, so hopefully that makes your day.
I am too. Maybe that's why Caesar.
I'm more percentage Filipino than you are too.
Oh, well, duh. That's obvious. I am. If people have never met me in person, I am probably, my skin tone is probably more fair than Paul, and like that's.
But that's what the Filipinos want. All the skincare and their soap.
As people have told me that if I were to go to Philippines and they knew that I was Filipino, they would assume that I was like the rich one, because the rich Filipinos stay out of the sun or something like that. I guess indirectly, okay. I do stay out of the sun though. Clearly, these days as you get older, gotta worry about the skin when you get older. Anyway,
clearly, she says.
Getting back on track to football, we digress. Guys.
Us? Digress? Never that.
All right, but speaking of Micah Alihado, I want you guys to hear exactly what the quarterback had to say following that game. So first, we will hear from Micah Alihado, and actually Michael Lescaro opening up the questioning with that. And then right after Micah, we will hear from senior receiver Tamatoa Mokia Atimalala. So let's start off with Micah Alihado.
All right, Michael, first start, you passed for 400-something yards, talk about your job, the performance you had today.
It was great. I think it could have been a lot better, but, it was good to get the win, and just be able to make plays for the seniors and, for the team and just going throughout the whole game. It was a long game and, it's a tough team to keep fighting back, but, I think it was a good night for us.
What does this do for you, almost as a springboard going into the offseason after having the performance you did tonight?
Yeah, I think it's really great for the team, to go off the season like this. A lot of high momentum going into the season, high energy, good energy going into the offseason. So I think as a team, I think next year we can go into spring ball and fall camp and next season off great energy, knowing how each other plays and, great chemistry with each other.
You talk about spreading it around to different receivers tonight. I mean, you almost had almost 5 different guys get one.
I mean, I think that's the art of the shoot, right? Just being able to get the ball, whoever's open, you got to get it out now. So, I think that was the game plan going into this week. Just get the ball out quick. They're off team, so I think that was the whole game plan and played out.
You mentioned playing for the seniors. You have the 2 seniors in the quarterback room, Braden and Jake. How much did they help you develop, and what kind of advice did they give you in this first start?
They've helped me so much, and words can't explain how much they've helped me. Braden and Jake always telling me, what they see open and how I can improve, how to get the ball out faster, and what they see. So, what they've done for me throughout this whole process, not just tonight. It's been a great blessing. I'm really grateful for them.
Any off-season goals, like now that the regular season's done? What do you want to hit on? What do you want?
Yeah, I want to get bigger. Gotta get more muscle. I gotta get more muscle, and I gotta get faster. Gotta get more muscle, get more faster. Yeah.
Like, what was it like for you to, not play very much in the first part of the year? Something that hasn't happened for you in a long time, right? But so as you prepared for this start, what was your preparation like?
I'll be honest, it was really tough for me mentally, for sure. I mean, just going out throughout the whole season, just not playing. I've never been in that position in my life before, so I think my faith in God really strengthened during that time. But I mean, preparing for the starting job, I felt really excited. I think I've been waiting for this moment the whole season, and it just felt like I was back to my old self.
You got a chance to share the backfield with Cam Barfield, your Bishop Gorman teammate. Kind of talk about the vibes of that.
It's fun. I mean, just being able to play with him in high school and now here is really surreal, full circle for sure. But I mean, when we get in that backfield, we know how we play, and we know what we can do. So it's just having fun back there with us. That's really it for us.
You broke at least one of your coaches' freshman passing or touchdowns or something tonight. How to put a step to you?
I mean, it's great. Like you said, records are meant to be broken, but I think just trending upward. Made a lot of mistakes tonight, can get better a lot. So try to break those records again.
You're stoked that you got to fit that redshirt in this year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am stoked. Obviously it was tough. Like I said, it was tough for me not playing, but I believe that God has a plan and everything happens for a reason. So, just the way this year played out, I'm grateful. Being able to get the redshirt still is definitely a blessing for me.
And that was University of Hawaii freshman quarterback Micah Alihado following his huge game on Saturday night over New Mexico. Now here's wide receiver and one of the seniors, Tamatoa Mokia Atimalala.
Congratulations on this. You started the season with the first touchdown, you end the season with the last touchdown. Kind of wrap the whole season in words.
Yeah. And it's just a great season with the boys, trying to get through whatever it is, outside and inside. But, we stuck together. And that was the main thing, having each other's backs. And tonight it showed that if we continue to just stick together, we can do it.
You're one of the local boys on this team, one of the local seniors. This program's been through the ups with Rolla and through the downs, and then now back on the ups, But this senior group, right, you guys kind of stayed and helped build the foundation. Talk about that.
So, Matt, we stayed with Coach Chang all 3 years, and it's been an amazing journey. Him finding out what he needs to do and us finding out what we need to do, it goes hand in hand. And to see what we put this hard work into and to see it come into flourishing tonight, it means everything. And, it just shows these younger guys that they got shoes to fill in. So thank you guys.
The offense tonight, you guys put up 38 points. Almost looked like the Campbell Sabres this year with Jared. I know this guy was there too. But yeah, talk about the offense putting something together tonight.
It was great. We continue to just routes on the air, continue to just get the connection with each other. And that's the main thing. We know that everybody does their job. Everything will be all right.
This state is a special place, right? Nobody does senior night like this. Talk about your emotions going through that tunnel and here with the Lays and all that.
Man, just seeing my family, all my boys, knowing that this is my last time potentially playing on this field again. So it's real emotional. Growing up in Hawaii as a local boy, watching Hawaii play, and finally finishing here as a Hawaii boy, it's everything I could ever ask for.
And that was receiver Tamatoa Mokia Atimalala and one of the seniors that got honored on Saturday. And then before that, you heard from freshman quarterback Micah Alihado after that career. It's weird because it's like you almost want to say he had a career game, but his career literally just got started.
The bar has been set high.
Yeah. That's what we've been talking about.
That's why we did talk about in the first hour for fans to temper expectations just a tad, because he's probably not going to throw for almost 500 yards in every start that he ever has for Hawaii. He's going to have some growing pains against other teams. But this was certainly a really good look at what the future could be for Micah Alihado going forward.
Yeah, for sure. But it was impressive. Nonetheless, fans were entertained, and we talked about it in the first hour, just being able to spread around the football and making really good decisions. I think that was something that got a little frustrating with Braden Shager sometimes. It's like, get rid of the football or do that. It was those were the moments that kind of I noticed from Micah. It's like, wow, he was really smart back there, kind of knew when to scramble, when to get rid of the football. Again, didn't lose any yards rushing, which is so weird and rare to see. And not just in comparison to Braden, but just in general. I mean, if you have a quarterback that's going to scramble, you tend to potentially lose some yards here and there. Not a lot all the time, but it was very impressive for what we were able to see. Again, New Mexico, they're a team that does let up a lot of points to their opponents. They average over 30 30 points allowed per game this season. But at the same time, Hawaii, was nice to see them put up over and close to 40 points in the game, which is why a lot of fans were very much entertained and liked what they saw and liked what the future hopefully holds in Micah Alihado.
Yeah, like you said, like Laddie, are you not entertained? This was the game. But yeah, we again temper expectations. The defense from New Mexico, we were calling from the start, like you take the over because they
was
give
a reason
up a lot
the
of
number
points.
was set where it was.
But with Micah and the receivers, we just gotta see what shakes in the dust with the transfer portal and people coming in. But this is kind of a game where you kind of look at Timmy Chang. It's like, yes, we need Timmy Chang to stay here for more than just next year because they were the ones that recruited Micah hard. And if Timmy has the ability to get the players that he wants, then you got to keep him. And the thing is, like, again, this worked in Timmy's offense. We don't know if it's going to work in a different person's offense. So I think they're almost a combined package where you got to keep Micah and you got to keep Timmy. And whatever happens from that point, it happens. I mean, we see in the NFL, right? Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, 6 Super Bowls. We see it with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. 3 Super Bowls and counting, unfortunately, but 3 Super Bowls and counting. You need your head coach and your quarterback. You need to have that position set. And with Timmy Chang and Micah Alejado, that's a winning formula. They're 1-0. So, yeah.
I actually really like that point by you because I think a lot of people don't think about that enough, where we talk about regimes in football more often than other sports, it feels like, because there are so many key positions, right? In the NFL, you talk about GM, head coach, and quarterback. Here at Hawaii, you might talk about AD, head coach, and quarterback. But if we're just going to keep it in the sphere of the football program, it's really smart to have the guy who made that connection with Micah, have the guy who also did those things before in your program. I understand that there is frustration with how the first 3 years of the Timmy Chang era has played out, especially this year in particular. I do want to give him as much rope as humanly possible because he was thrown into one of the most impossible situations that you can think of for an FBS program. And to his credit and to the team's credit, to the coaching staff's credit, they've done a nice job starting to turn things back into the right direction going forward for the University of Hawaii. And obviously, there are a lot of questions about what that future entails. What type of NIL money do you have? What type of support from the athletic department do you have? What's the update with the stadium going forward as well? I understand all of those things. I think there is something to be said about the stability of having the same head coach leading you through those tough times and out into the brighter times. And I think Micah really does believe in Coach Timmy Chang, and that a belief in somebody goes so far that I would personally extend Timmy now. I know that that's not popular with everybody, but I would certainly extend Timmy now because I just think he's done
only
enough.
that there was a permanent athletic director that can make that decision
is that
right
an
away.
issue?
Oh, shucks. And that's a point that we were very adamant about a couple of weeks ago when the firing of Craig Angelis happened. But before we get into kind of that whole mess, I want to double down on what you were saying, Paul, and remind everyone that that's something that I've said also when the season was playing out, and we always would talk about, coaches come in and you get 3 years to turn around a program. And this is the 3rd year for Timmy Chang, and it hasn't gone like your traditional, you expect the 3rd year. But then when you take a step back and then you realize that he should have kind of like more of a leeway than most coaches have, because one, he was never a head coach before. So he kind of had those growing pains too, coming off of just the worst culture situation that was left and had with Todd Graham being here. So he had to come in and focus on changing the culture, losing all of those players, regaining trust from everybody. So, and then you put in the stadium situation and not having that to use as your recruiting tool. So all of these things that have been like counting against Timmy Chang is more of, all right, yeah, we need to step back and be like, man, 3 years is kind of a high expectation to have to turn around a football program when you're dealing with all of the things that Timmy had to endure over it first taking over the job, right? Like most bigger institutions, bigger programs, they come in, all the money is there at their fingertips. They have a stadium, they have all this, like whatever you want. Football gets everything. Timmy comes in and it's like, all right, I need to focus on the culture. I need to make sure our alumni come back and actually support the program because they got pushed out by the former coaching staff and they didn't want to come around the football program and weren't invited to practices. So that first year was just rebuilding just all of the trust and everything that was lost and shattered during the couple of years and the post-COVID and all of that stuff that was going on. And then you finally focus on football, right? And then he was still figuring out his staff, right? Now he brought in this season Dan Morrison, who is retiring now. So he's going to have to figure out that situation as well in the offseason. And then, bring in Dennis Thurman, that improved as well. And nothing to take away from Jacob Earl. But again, it was all about the experience, right? Like Jacob Earl, like thrust into this DC position with very little experience across the country, right? So you bring in someone like Dennis Thurman, who has a ton of experience, and we saw the difference that it made. So it's all of these little things that had to get figured out by Timmy Chang, where I'm like, all right, we got to give him a little bit more of that leeway. And not to mention, he's at a huge discount at the moment compared to the other Mountain West coaches as well.
I also don't want you to forget about Jeff Reinbold here. That's somebody else who was brought in because Timmy Chang's back. And that's a great point by you. The connection to the history of the Hawaii program is almost more important than almost anything else, it feels like, because family, ohana, all of that stuff is so important here in Hawaii, building the program back up like that it's almost impossible to be successful if you don't have the support of the past.
Yeah.
And he's brought that back. He's been smart enough to look in the mirror and say, I'm not good enough to do this by myself, on my own. After the first couple of seasons, too young of a coaching staff. That's just the criticism that everybody knows now.
Yeah.
You look at it, he said, I got to make changes, brought in 2 extremely veteran coaches for his coordinator positions, brought in another veteran coach to be your D-line coach on top of that. Like, he makes smart personnel decisions. He's a good recruiter. He's brought in even better recruiters.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of positives with Timmy, and that's not to say that there aren't negatives. That's not to say that he's a perfect coach. But I think that there is so much more room for him to grow, and we've seen that progress already begin that I'd like to see it out fully.
Yeah, one quick I want to make, because I know we got to go to a break, and this might be a segue to another future segment later in the show, is that there was a lot of talk about the offense not clicking. But keep in mind, this is also the first year where Timmy Chang on the offense had to practice solely on Chang Field. They didn't have the extra fields that they used to have because they're making room for the new soccer stadium and the new track, and that's why the offense were limited to their half of the field. They didn't have time to run those full, long developing routes because they had no real estate to practice. And we talk about and again, that's because they're making the new track and the new soccer stadium. I know that's gonna be something we talk about.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely going to come up, and it will be a big topic this week, Wednesday, for Manawahine Wednesday, that's for sure. But again, like, that's what we're saying is, like, Timmy had like all of these things that he had to work through on top of actually focusing on football and recruiting and just being a coach, drawing up plays and game managing, all of that stuff. So I mean, I wish we could know or would know if there was an extension looming, but I don't know. We got to see what if there is, that's the type of move that the interim athletics director and Lois Mannon, if that's a decision she could make, or you wait and you drag on the athletics director search. It's a whole thing, which we got to step aside and take a break. So we are going to talk about that when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
No matter what
back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ule Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Esquero. All right. Only got a few minutes left till we have to hit our next break, but now that we saw what we saw from Micah and just the offense in general, and talking about the future of Timmy Chang again, just 1 year left on his current contract. And this is when you have to make the decision, and why I go back to how crazy it was that President David Lassner made the worst decision for the athletics department by firing Craig Angelis in the middle of the sports season when your football coach has 1 year left on his current deal, because we have early signing day that's on Wednesday, right? And obviously they're going to keep operating as they're going to focus that they are still under contract for another year. He's going to do the job. It's not like he's going to be elsewhere. But at the same time, this is what could, and I said this before, what could hurt you in recruiting, because a lot of players like Micah Alihado, they came here because of the coaching and the coaching staff. Yeah, he might have looked at Hawaii, but Timmy was not shy about how heavily they pursued Micah Alihado. And obviously they're going to be loyal to each other. And if Timmy is going out on the recruiting trail and you're a new recruit, I mean, we talk about Titan Lakaden also, like that, who had a great performance in the state championship game, but all of these young recruits who are coming in, and some of them are already signed. Some of them just want to play for Hawaii, which is awesome. But a lot of times you go for the school and the coaching staff. But now if you're Timmy Chang and his coaching staff, how do you go out and recruit and tell these recruits to come and play for you when they're like, well, you're only going to be there next year? ? You don't, it's just unsure. And that's the part that is so frustrating about how long will we know if Timmy are they just going to let it drag on and he has to coach on one final year of his contract all the way through the end? And again, that makes it more difficult when it comes to recruiting on top of all the NIL stuff you got to worry about. There are still a lot of, I don't want to completely dismiss the fact that there are still a lot of players that do choose programs based on the things that used to matter a lot before, is the school, the education that is at the school, and the coaching staff, right? There are still a lot of players that choose to play somewhere because of those values and traditions. And then, of course, yeah, you have some that will only look or value more of the NIL side. But all of these players that see the culture that Timmy Chang has built here, right? All of that, who is going to want to commit if we don't know what the future of this coaching staff is? And I'm like you guys, I'm on the, after what I saw and really analyzing into my head all the stuff that Timmy has had to endure, I'm on the extend Timmy Chang train. But you got to do it now, or you're going to let him coach in the final year. And again, we don't know what's going to happen. Craig Angelis' official last day was yesterday. So technically, as of today, Lois Mannon is the interim AD, but the new president doesn't start until the new year. So you have this whole month during the recruiting time. And what do we do? What do we do? And this is the part that has been frustrating, just anticipating this moment. Finished on a high note in that win. You're going to go recruit receivers now and show them man, this is our offense that you can catch the football and then add to your highlight reel and everything like that, which we saw with, P4 receivers that are on the bench that want to come play here where they can get the football. And now we don't know because we don't know.
I feel bad. I think that's the best way that I can put it. I feel bad for Timmy Chang and the coaching staff, because they, like you said, still have a job to do. And to them, they believe that they'll be here longer than a year, I would imagine. They sit here and they're like, that's the point of the job, right? You don't go into a game thinking you're going to lose. You don't go into a season thinking you're going to get fired, yada, 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 yada. That being said, that's only one half of the equation. You have to convince those recruits now that you are telling them the truth, that you are as confident as you are in that you're going to be able to stick around. And people aren't stupid, especially recruits nowadays. They're not dumb in terms of the opportunities that are out there to them, the different coaching staffs, the different programs, the different money opportunities. And when Hawaii is already operating at a disadvantage when it comes to NIL budget compared to, I mean, what Ohio State spend this year, $14 million, something like that on the roster.
But then again, you could be Florida State and spend a lot of money and still have losses.
Absolutely. But what I'm saying is Hawaii is already working at a disadvantage. When you're doing that as it is, you need to find kids who truly are in love with the game of football, truly in love with the idea of coming to your program. And kind of to echo your point, it is a lot harder to sell your program when it seems like things are kind of up in the air with your future. You hope that the good vibes of this final game, the good vibes of Micah help you going into this offseason. But at the end of the day, not having that extension, not having the security of the future, it looms over everybody, including those recruits that you're trying to convince to come here to Hawaii.
Yeah. And then when we get to Wednesday, which is the early signing day period for football, we're going to be kind of disappointed and alarmed at the low amount of people of at least the high school class of 2025 that are signing. Now we're going to have a whole bunch of community college kids from the JUCOs, which I know Coach Reinbold's been on the recruiting trail and have been visiting these kids. We're going to have a lot more of them. And for those kids, hey, they're just trying to get from the JUCO to Division I, however way they can get so that they could just get their name out there.
A lot of them are bounce backs.
But for the high school kids, we're gonna be kind of disappointed and kind of shocking about that because it's gonna be low, and that's because there is, like Paul says, there is that question mark of what looms. Some of the guys that are already committed, they're pretty much locked in, but I think a lot of the people that we have been targeting, at least from the class of 2025, these high school kids coming out, they're not. It's gonna be a bit disappointing, and I'm just gonna say that up front because when we get to Wednesday, we're gonna see it, and we're gonna have all these question marks about Timmy again and recruiting. But that's what happens when you, with our athletic department. That's what you do, and when you don't give them a contract, and when everything's, all of the national media, Reddit, Washington, I don't know about any of the stuff, but you hear about this. UH athletics is a mess. Why come here?
Mm-hmm. And then when we talk about Timmy a lot, but when you look at even just the assistant coaches, right? Or we talked about Dan Morrison retiring and everything. We don't know what Dennis Thurman is going to do. Clearly, he's very overqualified to be at this level. But hey, maybe it's just he likes being in Hawaii.
He loves this weather.
But also on the flip side, you have a lot of the coaches on the coaching staff are young. They have growing families. You look at Thomas Sheffield, right? Young guy. His unit did very well this year in the special teams.
What a great year for special teams.
I know he's loyal to Timmy Chang, but at the same time, it does have a growing family, right? Like, so if you have all these coaching jobs that open, maybe your assistant coaches, they deservedly want to go out and they don't know what their future is. Are they going to wait this 1 year if an opportunity opens up and they can get a solid job and maybe more pay? Would they move? Like, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying that's the reality.
Security goes a long way.
If you don't know what the future, if you're only going on this final year, you just kind of got to gamble maybe. And you see some of these other assistant coaches that feel like, hey, this opportunity is going to go. If I don't know if Timmy's going to be here after 1 year, maybe I should go this place because it has more stability and maybe more pay likely, right, at other places. Because again, if you're saying that the head coach in Timmy Chang is the lowest paid in the Mountain West, not even hitting $1 million, where a majority of the other coaches are at least at $1 million, you can't imagine how much less the assistant coaches are getting paid, right? So it's just all these things that are looming. And it just goes back to my frustration that I've been having this whole time with why you make the decision at the time you did to fire the athletics director.
I've got the solution, guys. Let's just make them all at-will employees. I think that's what you do to the most important spots in your athletic department, right? Wait. Oh, I'm being told that's not actually. The contract is actually important. Oh, so yeah, maybe we should get that figured out here.
Maybe we should figure it out. Anyways, that's going to be a continued conversation, and we'll see what happens throughout the week. And I would hope that we will look back on this show and be like, I guess we were just talking about nothing, and be surprised and shocked on the good side, where maybe it'll come out that Timmy will get extended. But we got a text that said Dennis Thurman can make mega bucks elsewhere. UH cannot compete with P4 conference teams' dollars. Again, exactly. And not even just P4, but even G5, like upper echelon schools. I mean, you have like GJ Kinney at Texas State, like getting something ridiculous too in terms of like G5 level. I think like $2 million. You have like Barry Odom at UNLV, like probably hinting for a big raise as well. So not just P4, but G5s are kind of moving on up there in terms of what they value and how much they can pay their coaches as well. So hopefully someone, as we just mentioned, Dennis Thurman just likes being out here in Hawaii, and he likes it just fine. Even if we can say maybe this is where he wants to retire in his coaching days, just, don't go anywhere, please. But again, we don't know what the future is. Anyways, going to step aside. When we come back, we will talk some Hawaii high school football as we crowned a bunch of state champions over the weekend. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Are you
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den alongside Paul Brecht, Michael Escaro. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. Mahalo for tuning in or watching on our YouTube channel. And you can always watch or listen on demand at hawaiisportsradio.com or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, going to talk some high school football now. And our high school football conversation brought to you by Fantastic Sam's, and ready to remind you guys about that unique opportunity that's still going on for high school football student athletes in the class of 2025. Fantastic Sam's is providing a scholarship to play at the next level at Valley City State University. If you or you know someone that's interested, go to vcsuvikings.com and submit the Recruit Me form. That's vcsuvikings.com. And you can also go to our website and click on the little web ad that will take you straight to that Recruit Me form and go check it out. And there are actually a good amount of Hawaii kids that play over there, so it's not like you're going to go there and be the only one. I know it's not many people have heard of Valley City State University beforehand, but there are a lot of Hawaii kids, so we encourage you guys to go and check it out and play at the next level. And again, mahalo to Fantastic Sam's for providing that opportunity. All right, getting into...
I think I need a haircut.
Oh my gosh, what is going on?
Fantastic Sam's. I think I need a haircut.
You're looking like Micah Alihalo over here.
That's a very great live read.
I think you and Micah are like twinsies because I know his hair's kind
of... Well, he had his thing in a little, like a little...
yeah, we need to fix Micah's hair before next year. He did not have star hair on Saturday night. That's all.
Oh my gosh. All right. So on Friday, as we talked about it being a big weekend, but Friday crowns a new Open Division state football champions in St. Louis, beating Kahuku 17-10. Yeah, new 8th state title, which is so weird because I thought it was more, but I guess, we exclude the Oahu Prep Bowl. That's why. The Prep Bowl is when that just went on this insane run, but we exclude that. So 8th state title if you take out the Prep Bowl, but the first since 2019, and spoiled Kahuku's four-peats. And as we mentioned, Hawaii football commit Titan Lakadan ran for 155 yards and a couple of touchdowns. But new head coach Tupu Alualu, bringing that pride back to St. Louis. What's going on over there?
Sorry, I am fighting a sneeze.
Oh, okay. I was like, he's making weird faces. I'm like, what's going on over here?
Tupu.
All right, we will let you sneeze. So before we talk about the game some more, here is what head coach Tupu Alualu had to say. It gets very entertaining, too, had to say after that big win over Kahuku.
I
Coach, state champions, long season. What are you feeling? What are the emotions right now?
I feel grateful. First of all, I want to give God the glory. Like what we started this journey with God's plan. And it didn't matter who believed me. You know what I mean? It didn't matter. So, my boys believe me, my coaches believe me, my family believe me. You know what I mean? And I thank the school for giving me an opportunity to be the head coach. I played there. I coached with the Lee brothers. I want to give them credit too. You know what I mean? So I'm just grateful that we won tonight. And they're probably going to be more happy than me. You know what I mean? I'm not saying because I won a lot of games, but I played and I won. You know what I mean? But I'm so proud of them that I'm happy. It's like I get more feeling when I learn. And I can't sleep. Now I can sleep for a couple of days. And the happiness is for all the parents right here, for their kids. We plan it, and I feel that some people didn't believe, but we right here right now. Give God all the glory. I mean, oh my God, I'm so grateful. You know what I mean?
Coach, you said you planned it right. On Monday, you said you manifested this. You got Kahuku at the start of the season. You get in the rematch. Talk about the master plan coming into the season.
Well, like I said before, me and Sterling do clinics together with assistant head coach for the volleyball. And the thing that got me I'll tell you the truth. When we go to the volleyball, right? Sterling gets up and he says, Sterling Carvalho, head coach Kahuku, 3-time state champ. Now when I get up, now I can say that, right? Nah, I won't, but I'm humble, but yes. So a lot of things that can be jokes that motivates me, you know what I mean? But Sterling is a good guy. I told the boys when we were going for our drive for 5, he stopped us, right? And he went to 3. I told the boys tonight, we're gonna stop at 4. We're gonna start ours, you know what I mean? But Kahuku is a great team. Everybody, to be the best is to beat the best, right? And I'm so grateful for everybody here. Look at them. Can you guys put the video on there? Look at it. All these people right there. All of them right there.
Coach, you talk about being the best, right? And what you guys did, you guys run the damn ball like you said, right? And you guys didn't get to strong Kahuku front. Talk about that shift in offense.
Alan Cooey's a run coordinator that was just here with us, and he knows that I want to run the ball. He knows I'm a running back. He's a running back. I said, Oos, we get this, we got to run the ball. I said, and then the big thing I wanted to do, because Kahuku's the number 1 defense, they're saying, right? We're the number 1 defense. I said, let's show them the mirror, all right? Let's go right at them. And, we came out victorious, you know what I mean? So anybody could have won tonight, but we believe, we were disciplined, we had effort, and we was grateful for just getting this opportunity to be here. I told the boys when they get to that stadium, because they certainly had the media there, I said, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful night for you guys. But I said, stay the course. I always say, stay the course, stay disciplined, listen to your coaches, and then now tonight, they can go home and love to their parents, love on their parents, and do the chores tonight. You know what I mean? For me, I'm probably going to sleep for a couple days. You know what I mean? So, thank you guys. I mean, give God all the glory. I want to say I dedicate this to my mama, Susie passed. She was the backbone of St. Louis back from '86 to she retired in 2021. I love you, Mama. Mama Susie. They were talking about the foundation, Tario Toy, Ji Yoon. Oh my God, Tihati Production. Oh my God. St. Louis School. Hey, all you kids out there, what now? Come to St. Louis. We number 1. Come to St. Louis now.
Is that recruiting?
You gotta love it. That was St. Louis head football coach Tupu Alualu following their 17-10 win over Kahuku to win their first state football title since 2019 and their 8th overall. And oh my goodness, what electric post game. He always gives the best quotes. We let you hear from him from the media days. And and then there's a lot of trolling going on with the Scoring Live power rankings, obviously, with the St. Louis being.
After week 1, St. Louis moved up. Even they lost to Kahuku, they moved up to number 2. Of course, they lost to Mililani, but people are like, how did they move up with a loss? Well, maybe there was just something there.
Yeah, they were good. And again, it's the power rankings is just based on what happened throughout those weeks and everything. But I thought I got a chuckle of that, like some mentions in people's Instagram stories about like, oh, look at this, like where we were. But hey, shout out, kudos to St. Louis. They did what they needed to do to beat Kahuku. It was a fun game. Again, low scoring game, but was very entertaining. Only just tied 7-7 going into the halftime. And then there we had more action in the second half. But yeah, it was spoiled the 4-peat that Kahuku was set to have, but yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about Tupu's quotes, but it goes back to coaching. And he, before that interview, he was like, "Coaches, come here for a team photo." He credits his coaching
He wanted the
staff.
coaches to be in that interview.
Yeah, he credits. And I know, I hate, the day after some of the media people were talking about, oh man, if only Jaron didn't get hurt. No, we can't play that what if game, right? Because
he did.
If you want to play the what if game, what if Keeney didn't get hurt at the early season?
Yeah.
What if Tama Amasone doesn't get hurt when Kapolei was leading them? Like, there's that what if game. What if Matai Fuava doesn't come in for Kahuku? It would be a totally different story. You cannot play the what if game. Coaching ultimately won that.
Correct.
And that's why St. Louis is set up for hopefully another dynasty. But we are the station of the OA, so we'll see if something changes.
Term in there.
Well, because like what I said I posted about on Twitter, it's like there was something about maybe because they weren't like this clear cut favorite throughout the season and a new head coach, and I don't know, Coach Tupu is just so like infectious that I'm like this state championship hits different. Like I don't feel as like, oh man, St. Louis won again. I was like, you know what? I'm okay with St. Louis winning. And of course, like we said, Titan Lakanen, future Rainbow Warrior, hopefully still is.
Help.
So I was like, you know what? He had the big game for St. Louis. So I was actually kind of happy and excited for it. Could have gone either way, but for all of the people who are not St. Louis alum, you guys all know what I'm talking about, where usually every time St. Louis wins, you're like, St. Louis won again, but this year it felt a little different, and I'm like, you know what, kudos. And again, Coach Tupu always giving like the best quotes and best interviews.
That's why I don't feel bad about the Scoring Live power rankings and whatnot, because you heard Coach Tupu talk about it, the journey, right? They didn't always have this level of execution, but they had this level of belief from the start of the season. And with all due respect, belief doesn't get you the top rated spot, but execution does. And as the year went on, they got better and better when it came to executing. They got better and better when it came to the winning plays, the pinch points in football games. Those went the way of the Crusaders, where early on they didn't. Think about the mistakes that they made.
Oh, that Mililani game. Ooh, brutal.
And that's the thing. I think people knock them is that they just wasn't clutch, right? Because but the thing is, in their losses, I think they're 9-3. In their losses, they lost by 1 point, lost by 2 points, and lost by 3 points. Right. They were never ever blown out, and top to bottom, this was probably the best team from top to bottom. Now we look at some of the OI teams; they were really heavily like their top players, very top players, but top to bottom, St. Louis was really one of the best teams in the state.
Good point by you. Depth really showed out in this one for St. Louis. Their stars did their job, but the depth also came through, made those key plays and key moments, quality tackles in the open field, and not allowing Kahuku to run wild. I mean, really shut down what is typically a solid rushing offense for Kahuku. I mean, Kahuku always likes to run the ball in general, but it was a nice performance by St. Louis to kind of encapsulate the entire year, where you go from the start of the year and you're in these close games. You can't quite pull them out. And as the year goes on, all of that talent does come through because the execution finally gets to the standard at which the Crusaders always expected it to be. And you needed that against Kahuku. I mean, this game still came down to almost the final play of regulation, right? With less than a minute left, Kahuku drove the field. They had an opportunity to tie this game late, and St. Louis's defense stepped up to the plate, made the plays they needed to make, and ends up winning the state championship for the first time since pre-pandemic.
Yeah, don't listen to Coach Tupu though. If you're in the
don't go.
If you're in like the Waipahu or Midilani district, or like what is his name, Jax like to say at Nanakuli, go to public school. Go to St. Louis, or of course you'll have them going to Kahuku. But no, that was a fun ending though. Like, come to St. Louis, but no, entertaining game. Also, obviously, our team was covering UH football, but want to make sure we mention the other state championship games that were going on in football. In Division 1, Kapa'a beat Konawaina 10-7 in overtime to win its first D1 football state championship. Micah Raposo kicked a 33-yard field goal in overtime to lift the Warriors over the Wildcats. So as we were talking about St. Louis winning like another state title, we had a couple of firsts for both Division 1 and Division 2. So again, Kapa'a winning their first over Konawaina. And then in Division 2, Kamehameha Schools Maui beat Kaiser 37-14 for their first ever state football crown. Zedekiah Campbell rushed for 239 yards and a touchdown, and quarterback Colton Waikiki Caldera passed for 3 touchdowns and rushed for 1 in that win. So again, shout out. We got a couple of the photos up there, and mahalo to our photographers and Brian Bautista and Andrew Lee covering those games for us and sending over photos because, like I said, we were out covering UH football that night, so weren't able to go there. But I don't know, Michael, if you got a chance to watch or know anything about some of the couple of those games that happened on Saturday.
Yeah, well, for Kamehameha Maui, like this was something that they were building towards. You know, they've been in the Division II final 3 and kind of this year 3 of the last 4 years, so this was their 3rd time in there, and they finally broke through. And you know, and that's kind of the things you see with a program is like you have to take steps. Even with Kapa'a, this was their first Division 1, but 3 years ago they won in Division 2. They make the jump up to Division 1. They lose to that Waipahu team against Tamauliata on the road, and then the following year they win their first round matchup. They beat Lahaina Luna on the road. This year they got a bye, and because of the new seating rules, they were able to host a game, and then they got to the state championship and they won it all. So they took the steps, and again, we were friends to the Oahu Prep Bowl. Back in the day, there was also the Neighbor Island Bowl, and the KIF teams with Waimea from the Kauai, they would always be the champion. And again, you look at that Kapa'a team. Again, they won it on special teams. They had a punt return to tie the game, and then that field goal there. So they got the special teams break that Kahuku didn't get, and sometimes that's just what it is, right? The special teams, that's a very important third phase of the game. And Konawaina, I know they had players going both ways, and they lost a real stud receiver and DB in Austin Takaki, but they were shut down. So again, defense wins championships, and phenomenal job by them. And St. Louis, Kapa'a. They played St. Louis 2 years ago, and so they have higher aspirations. They played Frankton and Kapolei also this year. And for Kamehameha Maui, they actually played St. Louis at home against St. Louis. So they kind of knew what they were doing and trying to want to schedule St. Louis on their schedule.
I like that. It's always fun to test yourself when you are a lower division school as well, because at the end of the day, divisions don't really mean a ton. It just matters what you do when you step out onto the field. And I like that they challenge themselves. I think that's the sign of a good team, and clearly it paid off for them in the long run as first-time state champions. That's so cool, man.
I know. This is really neat. And like Michael said, you know, first time for Kapa'a in Division 1, but still it's a level higher, and then you maybe move a little bit up. And I always feel...
I know Kauai people, they're a little crazy, but you know, temporary expectations. They Division 1, don't go to the open. That's a different story.
No, but still, shout out. I mean, like some of the neighbor island schools, especially when you come from somewhere like Kauai, right, where it's like they're not a very big population, but able to do what they did. So again, I can't believe we're all pal with high school football. Like, my goodness. And UH football, obviously there's still college and NFL and all of that stuff. But no, St. Louis, this year's Open Division State champ, Kapa'a champs of Division 1, and Kamehameha Schools Maui champs of Division 2. So congratulations to all of the teams. And I know we'll see a lot coming up this basketball season as well. We see some of the football players that will now move into playing basketball. And we'll bring you action here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. But we will be right back to close it out on Wake Up in the Den.
Wake up in the den with Kulale Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Kulale Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Lescaro. All right, closing out the show now. Oh, it all goes by so fast. I'm like, oh, just kidding.
We said at the start we needed more than 2 hours today. And we did. We did need more than 2 hours.
Shoot. We're going to run out of time. But want to at least touch on this weekend's basketball games for the women and falling to UCLA yesterday, 70-49. But had a good effort in that first half. Again, the Rainbow Wahine, though, yesterday were without Victoria Tamilo, who had a big game just the day before. And then Jovi Lefotu was also out yesterday. But at least for Hawaii's advantage, Lauren Betts on the other side for UCLA got into some foul trouble early and probably a big reason why they were able to keep it close in that first half. But anytime Betts was in, I mean, it's just one of those things. What are you going to do? So even if Victoria was able to play, she probably wouldn't have been able to. Maybe she would have done some offensively, but defensively, I mean, Brooklyn Roars was the one that you would need to have on Betts in general because of just the size and just the strength that Lauren Betts had. But I mean, the Rainbow Wahine, though, by all of their accounts, they put up a really, really good fight against the number one team in the country, that was UCLA.
It was a really impressive performance in a lot of ways for Hawaii because, and I tweeted this out at halftime, Hawaii deserved a lot of credit for being down by 3 at half, despite Betts being in foul trouble and whatnot. That UCLA team's disgusting.
Yeah.
Right? They have a bunch of Team USA players. The talent is there. They have NBA players' younger sister is on the team. It's just a ton of talent. And Hawaii, I think everybody knows, has been struggling offensively this past weekend. I mean, really, really badly throughout the first half, especially of those first 2 games. And that was the case once again in this one, but they hit a few threes in that second quarter. They lock in defensively in that second quarter. They bring it within 3 in that second quarter. They bring it within 1 in the opening minute of the second half. This is a Rainbow Wahine team who proved not only to themselves, but to everybody watching, when they're playing well, when they are executing defensively, there's not a team in this country that they can't compete with. And that alone is a really, really nice takeaway from yesterday. It sucks to lose. They lost a 15-game winning streak at home. They lost, it snaps the best start to a Laura Beeman season, blah, 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 all those things. Yeah, that sucks. Nobody was stupid enough to look at yesterday's game and think, yeah, we're probably going to beat UCLA. You thought there's a chance. You always think there's a chance. But nobody thought oh, yeah, Hawaii should be favored in this one. I mean, UCLA put up 90-plus points against the other 2 teams in this tournament. And Hawaii's defense, to its credit, without Victoria Tamilo, who has been fantastic, phenomenal, fantastic. I don't know what word I wanted to say there. Defensively and offensively.
Yeah.
What a great job by them, despite the loss. And you just run out of steam against a more talented UCLA team.
Yeah. And this is the game where you look back for the Wahine, it's like, hey, we can win the Big West. Let's go make some noise in the postseason in the NCAA. And then you saw, for a half, we were up there, and we weren't at full strength. Shout out the defense, though, because they were really getting there and getting some good doubles and crashing hard. Now we just got to make sure shots fall. But, yeah, this is a game where you look back, it's like, hey, we can hang, So let's just focus on doing our best and winning the Big West and getting it back to the tournament.
I will also say, I think Jovi Lefotu's absence this weekend was not talked about enough, and part of that's on me as part of the media. We should have probably talked about it a bit more. Missed all 3 games. She's been outstanding off the bench this season for Hawaii. She adds another guard, a talented guard who can score from all 3 levels, play some defense, assist, and not having her really, really hurt them this weekend, especially offensively, I thought.
Yeah, and going back, if you guys missed it, in the Rainbow Wahine Showdown, they beat Fresno State 50-47, beat UT Martin on Saturday 47-39, and then falling to UCLA 50-49 in that final game. Again, the number 1 team in the country, the all-tournament team. You had Mia Jacobs of Fresno State, Gabriela Jaquez of UCLA, and Kiki Rice of UCLA, and Victoria Tamilo and Lili Wahine Kapu of the University of Hawaii. And again, no surprise, the MVP of the tournament, Lauren Betts from
She's pretty darn
UCLA.
good. She's going to be a top 5 pick.
Yeah, and that's kind of the cool thing when you're the Hawaii team, right? You can say like, yeah, you played against a future professional woman in the WNBA, because there is like, and from a sports cards person, her stuff are selling really good right now. So that's how you know.
We got 30 seconds till we got to get out of here, but I can't not say this. Brooklyn Brewers, I want to give a lot of credit to for her defense against Betts. It's not an easy draw, especially when you haven't been starting. You've been playing behind Tamilo all this time. She came out, started, and I thought had a really nice defensive performance against probably the best post player in the country.
Yeah, and we'll definitely talk more about UH women's basketball coming up in tomorrow's show and let you actually hear some post-game comments from head coach Laura Beeman. But for now, we got to go. For Paul Brecht, Michael Escaro, I'm Kule Agbayani. Bye!
Your brand new home for OIA Athletics.